The Antidote.
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 Y estás escuchando The Antidote.
The Antidote.
The Antidote.
The Antidote.
You're listening to The Antidote with Dave Hawkins.
With Christian music that doesn't suck.
You've got The Antidote with Dave Hawkins. I know, I'm breaking from my usual routine of beginning the show with a song, but there's a good reason. Tonight's artist has been recording music since the early 80s. He and I had a lot to speak about, and I want to share all of our talk. Mike Stand has recorded in so many genres: punk, rock, pop, CCM, rockabilly. There hasn't been many styles that he hasn't covered. And Mike has never quit. He's still actively recording, with a recent acoustic release through Thumper Punk Records. If you've been a longtime fan of Mike Stand, tonight might be a disappointment. After a lifetime of putting out music, there's no way I could bring in everyone's favorite song. What I do have are tracks from each of Mike's music projects and this great conversation. Here's the first part. It's an honor to have Michael W. Stand on The Antidote. Mike, thanks for coming.
It's great to be here, Dave. Great to be here.
Tonight, you and I get a chance to talk about some of the music styles you've done over, I guess it's not years, it's been decades.
Yeah, it's been since about 1982 when I really started. The Altar Boys, 35 years. Wow, that's a long time. I didn't realize that.
You realize this makes you a veteran.
Well, yeah, I've been thinking about that. Yeah, I guess it does, kind of. And I don't think of myself as that. I'm always kind of reinventing what I do and kind of moving on to the next thing.
Well, you brought up about the Altar Boys. In the music scene, Altar Boys was huge. What was it about the sound that got people's attention?
You know, I just think we made a connection musically, and how do you quantify that? That's really hard to do. When I really started getting serious about songwriting in 1980 and committed myself to the Lord using my musical skills for His glory and for whatever He wanted to do, I always, studied songs and songwriting and how to do it, and I dabbled a little bit, but it wasn't until the Altar Boys that I really, kind of started fine-tuning on what I wanted to do and what I wanted to say. There's always melody, there's always your hook, there's always your content, there's always a lot of things involved in there. And I think the urgency of the band, the urgency of the message, again, how do you quantify when songs connect? You're just grateful when they do. When you get done, it just kind of happened. I don't know. I didn't realize how much we meant to people at the time. We were just so busy working and doing the next record and playing and touring that, I didn't think about, wow, this is really something. You're just always kind of moving on to the next bit of pressure.
One of Altar Boy's albums was titled When You Are a Rebel. Did you guys personally see yourselves as being rebellious?
Well, that's an interesting. When I finished that song in late 1984, and I showed it to the guys, and I said, can we say this? I don't know if we can say this. I mean, being rebellious, in the scriptures it talks about being rebellious is a bad thing. So I actually took it to a couple of youth pastors. I said, I got the song we played for, hear the word. Is this okay? And, a lot of them said, this is fine. You redefine the word rebel. It's a great song. And I remember the first night we played it out at St. Andrew's Church in Newport Beach, and it just went over great. And it became this big anthem. But at first, this going to work? Is this okay? And it wound up being fine.
Effectively, Jesus was a rebel, so why not?
Exactly. I mean, totally. But the word rebellious, usually when we think about it, means being a rebel against God, and we think of that more so that pops into people's heads. So we just wanted to make sure that we were okay on that. And, we never got any grief from it.
Well, I guess to think about it in a different view, what about in the 80s? Did Christians view punk music as being rebellious?
We never got a lot of grief. One lady at someplace yelled at us one time. We got picketed in 1989 or 88 in Indiana.
You got picketed?
Well, but it was always a surprise, because for me, it was like, I never understood it. But we never got a lot of grief. Some of our friends did, and other people, we didn't. For whatever reason, we're able to kind of sidestep all that controversy.
This is going to take you back, way back, 1985, Altar Boys, When You're a Rebel.
Do not be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good, acceptable, and perfect.
Something else that was really cool about Altar Boys is that in the 80s, it was tough for any artist with a Christian message to make any kind of headway into the mainstream. Altar Boys did that. How'd you make it happen?
We did. We got played on a lot of radio stations and video in different areas and played a lot of clubs. It's nothing we concocted. We just go out and play any place. anytime, anywhere. That was kind of the nature. I mean, when we first started the band in July of 82, within 1 month, July, 10 gigs. August, 10 gigs. It'd be on the beach, in a church, in a club the next night. So a lot of high schools during lunchtime, kids would bring us in, and we just kind of did it. And we didn't try to have any airs about who we were. We just tried to be regular guys you could talk to and, let the message speak for itself. So God just opened doors for us. That's the only way I can describe it or explain it. It was nothing we concocted. It wasn't a big advertising campaign. We didn't have a budget. We just got out and played and kind of lined up and worked out in that way for us.
So you weren't doing what Christians are always blamed for by jamming it down somebody's throat.
No. Well, the lyrics are pretty straightforward. They're pretty hard-hitting. And depending on the situation, I think culture was a little more tolerant overall of Christians in the 80s. So it was okay if you're a Christian band, and to be a Christian was okay. People didn't prejudge you as much as they do today for whatever reason. So we were real straightforward with the message. I mean, I gave 10-minute messages sometimes during the concert, but it worked out in the context of where we were and what we were doing. By today's standards, we were totally jamming it down people's throats. But that was just the way that God used our music and our ministry back then. And I can't say it would work today in today's culture. The need in people's hearts and lives don't change, but culture can change and the way to communicate can change. It's a different time back then. No internet. You want to make a record, you had to pay $15,000, $20,000 or whatever to make a record. You made a video and, you got to find somebody who put it out, and they got YouTube. So it was just a real different time, much simpler. Technology is supposed to make life simple, but as we can see, it's made it kind of more difficult.
Something that did change around with Altar Boys is your music, because it wasn't always punk. Sometimes it was rock, and sometimes it even had a pop flavor. Did the band really have no specific preference?
I prefer the harder-hitting things, and the band did change musically, much to my dismay. Although I was a principal songwriter, by the time Forever Mercy came around, I'd already put out a solo record. We come off a tour. I didn't have a lot of material or a lot of energy for the last record. And so that was a real departure for us. Then we were supposed to do a sixth record, which was going to be a lot more hard-hitting, and that never materialized. The songs are done, but we were never able to put it out back in 1991, which would have been, well, retro for us. It was more like GLM. The album was called No Substitute. So technically we could have jumped from When You're a Rebel, GLM, to No Substitute, and it would have been perfectly lined up. But Against the Grain had a few hard-hitting punk things, and then it just kind of changed musically a little bit.
Because Forever Mercy was mellower.
It was. It was recorded totally different. In 1988, I did a solo record. I wrote all those songs on the solo record. Then when it came time for our next record, I didn't have a lot of material. And in fact, as we were recording, I was in the next room writing. And it was done differently. It wasn't done as a band. It was done very different. And had some good songs. Rick's songs were great on there. Again, after Forever Mercy, I had another album completely written, No Substitute, and demoed out and ready to go. And it would have been much more in line as a perfect sequence from GLM. A lot of anthems, a lot of energy, urgency, very good record.
All of us to our friends. Here ends the night. Here ends the night. And here ends the night. And here ends the night.
Here Ends the Night, showing the mellower sound of Altar Boys found on their Forever Mercy release. Well, why don't we get into those solo releases? I mean, it wasn't punk. It was a lot more CCM.
Yeah, it was. I think the growth of the Altar Boys kind of took me by surprise. There was a lot of costs that I didn't realize. You have an ideal of the way it's going to be, and then you find out kind of the way it is. Not to say it was all bad, but there were a lot of pressures that I didn't calculate at the beginning. There were costs I didn't realize. Touring, the pressure of having to be a band and a ministry and moving equipment and roadie at the same time. That was hard. And I didn't calculate all that, and it took a toll on me and made me do a lot of self-reflection. I mean, I was still able to go out there, but I was struggling inside. That Do I Stand Alone record kind of reflect my inner struggle and the self-reflection of who I was as a person, which was not really projected as much in a lot of the Altar Boys music. Simple Expression more kind of resolved some things, where Do I Stand Alone kind of mixed it up. And so, Forever Mercy was caught in between there. So I had to go back to being kind of Mike Stanley Altar Boys. But both albums came out really good musically. I think both albums were very honest. And I go back and listen to both of them. They're quite pleasant to listen to, and both were quite pleasant to make. Rob Watson, who worked on GLM, helped me with Do I Stand Alone, and Rick Elias helped a lot with Simple Expression, and Derry Doherty from the choir helped me a little bit. Simple Expression was more self-produced.
If Altar Boys' Forever Mercy album was mild, Mike Stan's solo stuff went even further in that direction. From Simple Expression comes Whisper in the Morning.
There's a tear in my eye coming from down in my soul, and a whisper in the morning, looking from the outside and finding out it's me again. And there's a whisper in the morning. Tear in my heart will have time to heal, and there's a whisper in the morning. Sow the seeds of yesterday, watch them all blow away, and there's a whisper in the morning. And I sometimes just want to fly away, leave it all behind, whispering goodbye. If I fall apart, my friend, put it all together again. With a whisper in the morning, everything I've been fighting for, I won't fight anymore. And there's a whisper in the morning, and I sometimes just want to fly away, leave it all behind. whispering goodbye, whispering goodbye, whispering goodbye.
Then the 90s began, and you brought out a change in sound with Clash of Cymbals. Begging at the Temple Gate Called Beautiful was a great release. I mean, a full-bore rock album. And it's sort of sad that not that many people know of the band. Were you making a statement with the music?
Well, Altar Boys essentially took a hiatus. Last concert was 1992. And then I became friends with a guy named Rob Ryab, and him and I kind of became partners. I always wanted a writing partner. I mean, Rick and I would write a little bit, but I always wanted a partner. I kind of got tired of writing by myself. And Rob, real musical, real good guitar player, real good to bounce ideas off of. When he first started, we did a few things solo with me, and then we just said, let's put a band together. Let's find some guys. So we called up Matt Chapman and Steve without a Nation and pitched the idea to them, and Clash of Cymbals was born. We pulled a few songs from No Substitute and used them. Surround Me was originally for No Substitute. Give Our Hearts Back to God was from No Substitute. And then the first release, Sunday, came out, and that was pretty good. And then Big at the Temple Gate, I think it's one of my best records. I really, really do. And it played its thing. It did what it was supposed to do, but it wasn't meant to go any further than 1996, 97. Rob needed to get out on his own and venture and start his own career, and that was a good thing for him. I really wanted to do one more solo record, and then I had my son, and I needed to get a full-time job and start making an income. So it played what it was supposed to do, and it was great. Well, it happened.
Now, if someone wants to hunt for Clash of Cymbals, you've got to help them out and explain how the name is spelled.
Well, it's Clash, and it's out of Psalms, praising the Clash of Cymbals, but it used that kind of symbol. It's spelled S-Y-M-B-O-L-S. Symbols, like different symbols. Boy, it was a great band. God, we played so good together. Just great music. It really was. I keep in touch with Rob. I keep in touch with Matt and Steve, but Rob and I go back and forth quite a bit. I would love to play with him again. He was such a good player, such a good guy to hang with. But like I said, he needed to do his own thing. My son was born, and when you have a child, that changes everything. Actually, my son was born, and we played a little bit. I couldn't handle it. I just needed to be home.
Clash of Cymbals with Save Me. And did you not think that Full Circle really capped off everything you were doing from that era?
Oh, I thought it was done for Full Circle.
Really?
I was. Oh yeah, and that album. I think I started at '97 or '98 with Gene Eugene, and while Gene was alive, I went to the green room and recording bits and pieces on tape. Full Circle, Bound the Unknown, a couple of the other ones. It really started out bits and pieces here and there, and then Gene passed away not long after I did the initial tracks, which was really hard. I'd spent an evening with Gene, him and I, and it was really hard to do at the green room because there were always people coming in and out. I just remember him and I for 3-4 hours just sitting and talking, and it happened as undivided attention, where he wasn't all over the place. And it was a special night, and then soon after they passed away, and I didn't go back, and I didn't know what to do because it was unfinished. So I don't remember exactly the sequence of things, but I remember getting a hold of Bob Hartree sometime in 2000. He agreed to help me with finishing the record off, and he worked so hard on that record. And Gene had everything on tape, and I had transferred digitally. And I brought in Chuck Cummings to finish, recut some things, we added some new songs, and what a record. I mean, Full Circle, it just came out so amazing. The whole sound, the production, I just knew I couldn't do any better than that. He made it above, way beyond anything. I thought, come Full Circle, okay, I'm done. I'm moving on with my life because it's not going to get any better than that.
What would you say nowadays? Would you still say that's true?
Oh, no. I'm completely surprised that would happen. Hey, everyone, this is Michael W. Stan from the Altar Boys, Clash of Cymbals, and the Altar Billies, and you're listening to The Antidote.
It's all
then in 2001, 2002, I met a guy by the name of John Hulling. And I met him at church. He was walking through the church parking lot with a Ramones t-shirt on. And you just don't see that at my church. I thought, I got to get to know this guy. I don't know him. And then at the same time, my wife was making friends with a person by the name of Wendy. And she'd come home and tell me all about her husband, who was all into music. I need to meet this guy. Well, little did I know this guy was the same guy walking through the parking lot with a Ramones t-shirt on. And we hit it off right away. Then he started playing with me at a Bible study we were doing. He comes to me one night and he says, "Hey, Mike, I listen to your Altar Boy stuff. It's pretty good, but you got a lot of rockabilly in there." I just kind of gave him like the RCA dog look. And, what? Because I'll tell you what, I'll demo up a song. So he demos up Against the Grain, rockabilly style, and I take it home and listen to it and I'm going, wow, I never thought about that. I kind of let it set for a while and kind of listened. And so we got together and practiced and played and kind of just messed around a little bit. And I go, wow, this is really weird rockabilly, huh? I keep thinking rockabilly kept the Lifters and the Stray Cats, a little bit of Elvis. What's rockabilly? It's 50s music, right? He goes, no. Okay, so he makes me a CD. So I'm listening to this CD of all these guys of early Elvis, the Knitters, Johnny Burnett, Buddy Holly, Eddie Cochran. So this led to that, and before I'm knowing it, I'm discovering a whole genre of music that I only had scraped the surface on. To me, it was just 50s rock and roll. And then I'm like kind of looking at it and going, wait a minute, I could do this. So I go, you know what, this is what I've been looking for the whole time. Because you can be punk rock, you can be country, you can be kind of jazzy, you can be kind of bluegrass. And really, I just turned the corner, and there it was.
Nobody stopped you to say that, no, if you live in California, you cannot do rockabilly?
Oh, people kind of put up a fuss around me. Well, who do you think you are? He's totally cowboy. Look at him. Oh, and now he's slicking his hair back. Oh, yeah, I got all that. Now, you can't do this. You're too old. You are altar boys. And I got all that. I just ignored it. And then that just made me more kind of diligent. So the idea of the Altar Billies was to take altar boys' music and just put rockabilly to it and go out and play some churches. Play once a month. No big deal. And I kind of put it on Facebook a little bit, and I got a little stink from it. And I'm like, okay, it's not a big deal. And then I put out a first record, which was all a bunch of Altar Boys covers, basically, and recording these songs. And before I know it, I just started writing, and pretty soon we went in the studio. And then I wrote I'm Still Standing, and I'm like, wow, that's really good. And recorded it, and we shot a video for it. Put a Heading Out West. I mean, to me, that's one of the best records. It just kind of took on a life of its own, and we're doing clubs. I had no idea that this would happen. I really didn't plan on it. It was nothing I foresaw. I was done. I was retired. I got kids. I can't do this. And it just kind of happened.
If you've never heard rockabilly, this is going to be an eye-opener. Enjoy Rock My Soul from the Altar Billies.
It's
getting now into wanting to playing jazz guitar. So I'm studying jazz. I'm studying Charlie Christian and Wes Montgomery, and fusing it in with rockabilly. You can hear it on our latest one, Hot. Jazz guitar was always there for me, but it was something I never bothered because I could never understand it. Now I'm using it. I'm like, wow, but I'm not really great at it. So I got to figure out how it works for me, and I'm studying it, and I'm looking at it, but it's really hard to do. But that's kind of my next quest and what I'm looking at.
The songs from Altar Billies are so catchy that a live show must be a blast.
Oh, yeah. We mix it up with early rockabilly. We do a lot of covers because people like to hear the covers. So we have a lot of Elvis, a lot of Johnny Cash, a lot of Eddie Cochran, Gene Vincent that we do incorporate. The songs work. I mean, Aiming High just comes off. It just socks you. Heading Out West. What a good song. Changes keys 4 times.
Plus, the Altar Billies have a song that's really hot. Sorry, I couldn't resist doing that.
Hot
that's the song title.
Yeah. Well, I wrote that back in 2011, but I couldn't do a solo yet for it. So I just kept it tucked under till I could figure out how to play jazz guitar.
And you did 2 versions of the song.
Yeah, we did a big band version.
Which totally grabbed my attention.
Well, yeah, and now I just wrote out the basic big band part, and then a friend of mine helped me transpose it for trombone, trumpet, and sax. And then we got some of my friends that I work with to come in and double the parts up. And why not? And people saying, you can't do that. I don't need anybody's permission.
Remember the 1990s and they had Swing Revival? This is Swing Revival Part 2.
Yeah, I mean, rockabilly and everything is huge here in Orange County. And it's been growing since we first started. And we've kind of morphed ourselves. And then the Altar Billies name just kind of hinders us a little bit. And I'll be honest, if I could have gone back, I may have called us something different. I didn't ever think that we would put out records and videos and do that. I didn't have that on my radar. So that does create a little bit of hindrance because being a Christian here in Southern California is not very popular. And, when they find out, then they dish you a little bit. It's subtle, but, that's why we have to be a cut above musically.
And you are.
We try. There's a lot of good bands here. We just try to use it as a ministry field and develop relationships and hang and enjoy what we're doing.
I love big band. Tommy Dorsey, Les Brown, Glenn Miller, Artie Shaw, Count Basie, they're all on my favorites list. Now I'll add the Altar Billies with the song Hot. Coming up, Mike Stan talks about going acoustic on his latest release. A few months ago, you brought out something different once again with a 3-song acoustic EP for Thumper Punk Records. Where did the idea come from?
The idea came from Dave. He'd been asking me about that for a year, and at the time we were doing Long, Long Road, and I just couldn't. It was just enough for me to record that and put that together. It took a lot out of me, 400 hours. So I just said, I can't do it right now. So when I was done with that, I just said, well, let's just give it a rest, maybe after the first year. And he talked to me again. I said, okay, I'll put something together. And he goes, well, you have to have World Burning on it. I said, okay. So I went back to my original tracks, checked out World Burning, which had acoustic all the way through. And that was easy to put together. Didn't have to add anything to that. And then I went to kind of choosing some other tracks. I decided on Long, Long Road and Locomotive from our new release. And I had to kind of work those a little bit. I had to kind of add a lot of acoustic and kind of work them around a little bit. But I was very excited to have vinyl. I mean, it used to be vinyl. That's what you released, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's such a big thing. I got it on my wall right now. And then my friend Ron Lara, who designed the Full Circle record and Baking at the Temple Gates and was working on No Substitute, designed those covers for me. And he just knocked it out of the park. Just did. It's unbelievable.
And I love it. It's so retro.
It really, really is. He did an amazing job. And it came out great. My son mixed it. My son has become quite the record engineer. So he's doing that right now in L.A. back and forth.
No, if you want to be really indie, though, instead of vinyl, now you've got to put it on cassette.
Oh, is that coming back now?
It is.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, I don't want to tell you how many cassettes I've thrown away.
You know that song, World Burning?
Yeah.
You've pulled that in from Altar Boys and Altar Billies. That song title must be hitting close to home with everybody dealing with the fires in California.
Yeah, it's cold and it's raining out there.
But the song isn't at all about a physical fire.
Oh, no. It's talking about the world, such symbolism in world burning. How the worries and the difficulties and the challenges kind of burning their soul. And where do people turn? Man, we got an opium epidemic here in the States and, hooked on so much technology. It's just a crazy time. And so people have to have some way of dealing with this burning and, the sensation that that's some kind of distraction. It's a shame that people get roped in so many things that bring them down when we know that Christ is the answer.
I see the words of the world turning and tearing from the outside in. I see the wars of the world burning in a fire that'll never end. I see the wars of the world turning and tearing from the outside in. I see the wars of the world burning in a fire that'll never end. Burn all the wars of days gone by, promises of gold that are empty lies. Burn all the pain and isolation in a world that's always changing. I see the wars of the world burning in a fire that'll never end. I see the eyes of children crying, the tears flow down in an endless rain. Tears of worry that fear tomorrow, tears of pain felt yesterday. Innocent lives stricken death by rage, ask me questions I can't explain. I can only point to a Savior's love, I can only point to what He's done. I see the wars of the world burning in a fire that'll never end. The time has come for our worries to cease. The time has come for tears to end. The time has come, hold on to every ounce of faith. It's all we have. I see the wars of the world turn and turning and turn from the outside in. I see the wars of the world burn and burning in a fire that'll never end. I see the wars of the world turning. I see the wars of the world burning. I see the wars of the world turning. I see the wars of the world burning. World burning.
Mike Stand has recorded the song World Burning with the Altar Billies and Altar Boys. Now you've heard the acoustic version from the Michael W. Stand 3-song acoustic EP. You know, I can't get over how close it is to Christmas. And no, I haven't got anything prepared. But with the Antidote being a Christian faith-based program, next week we're going to celebrate Jesus' birth with an hour of Christmas music. I won't be playing Feliz Navidad. I can't stand that song. What I do have is Flea's Naughty Dog. And you'll have to tune in the Antidote Christmas special to find out what I'm talking about. And speaking of talking, it's time to go back to my chat with Mike Stand, where he shares about the Christian message in his music and the Altar Billies song, I'm Still Standing. See you next week. One constant with all of your projects is that they carry a Christian message.
Oh, yeah.
A long time ago during an interview with HM Magazine, when they were talking about Clash of Cymbals, you told them, we can be both artists and have a ministry at the same time. Music is my art, not just a tool. As a band, we're letting people know the good news of Jesus Christ. Is that still true for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm an artist and I'm a Christian. And God has given me a real limited amount of abilities, mostly a drive. And you know, he's my reason for everything, and I put that in my music, or if I don't put it directly, it's subtly, or if it doesn't fit, I don't put it in. For me, I can't separate the two. They kind of go hand in hand. And, you know, people that do the Altar Billies, they know it. We don't sit around and drink beers. We try to have integrity, but we're not above anybody. And going back to the original question, music's my art, but I always put what's important in my art, too. Jesus is important. Okay, and that's where we kind of are. We're kind of right. We don't really fit in the Christian music, because unless it's worship right now or country or I don't know, and we get a little bit dissed even around Orange County. But once people get to know us, they're okay with us. While other people kind of leave us out purposely, and it's subtle, but it's there. I wish it wasn't, but those are cards I've been dealt, and like I said, this is a surprise to me. I didn't think I was ever going to really write any decent songs again. I think I'm Still Standing is one of the best songs I've ever written, period. You know, whole album. And I just am grateful.
Mike, you've recorded so many music styles. Rock, punk, rockabilly, pop, even as we talked about, big band. Is Mike Stand going to surprise everybody one day by making a metal release?
You know, metal's not that far from rockabilly. They're really close. You never know, but I do have a few surprises up my sleeve. And everybody will be very much surprised. And so we'll just leave it at that. And you'll be one of the first to know, I promise.
I'll hold you to it.
Okay, it'll be a good surprise if it happens. So if I don't say anything, well, then no harm, no foul, right?
Mike, thanks for coming to The Antidote. This has been great.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for letting me reminisce and just talk about my history, and I'm just grateful.